بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. So inshallah, today we're moving on to the next section of أبنية المبالغة. So we've covered the previous ones, now we are here. Okay, so first of all, he says أبنية المبالغة. Mubalagha, what we call hyperbole, that's the way we translate it. But these are those siyagh, those forms of the verb, of the noun, which are used to show a fa'il meaning, an active participle meaning, but more intense. So for example, you have here ghaffar and ghafoor. We have kaffar and kafoor, hammaz and humaza. So from now the principle is different words must have different meanings. Okay, you wouldn't have a scenario where they have the exact same meaning with slight different implications. It is up to us to figure out what each different sigha means. Now, what he's mentioned here is one interesting point, that there are different sighas. Now, majority of the scholars have said here, for example, Abu Hilal al-Askari, he says here, it is muhal that there are two words with the same meaning. There must be a different meaning. But at the same time, other scholars have said, Lam ara fi dhalika naqlan. I have not seen any report or any transmission explaining the differences in its meaning. So for example, there's no explicit clarification regarding the difference between ghafir, ghafir is al-fa'il, but between ghaffar and ghafoor. There's no explicit meaning, kaffar and kafoor. However, there's one underlying principle throughout the Arabic language, which is this word, this principle here. Okay? Ziyadatul bina tadullu ala ziyadatul ma'na. That more letters in a sigha, in a form, will imply and necessitate a more intense meaning. So fa'ala, and we've done this in ma'al af'al as well. That when we have what? Qatala and qattala. One is a massacre, one is a murder. So more letters, the shadda, will imply a more intense meaning. So wherever you have more letters, the general principle is more letters come, the more intense the meaning becomes. So based on this, he's given a few examples. He says here, so we can derive. There's no naql, there's no narration of this. We haven't seen it, the earlier scholars have not discussed this. But we can derive, for example, we have fa'il. So fa'il has 3 letters. More than that, we have fa'ul. 4 letters, fa'ul and fa'il. So these have what? 4 letters. So these will be more emphatic. You go a step above that, we have fa'al. You have fa'al and you have mif'al. These have 5. The shadda count as 2. So now it has 5 letters. So based on this general principle of ziyadatul ma'bina tadullu ala ziyadatul ma'na, we can derive that the more letters there are in a siyagh of mubalagha, the more intense the meaning will be. So far, everybody following? Now, moving on, before he goes into the different siyagh, he mentions one point. He says here, sometimes you have 2 different words from the same root letters. So there's 2 possible reasons for this. And he gives an example here. A simple example he gives here is this one. Dahak and duhaka. So now dahak and duhaka, these are both siyagh mubalagha from the root letters dahika, to laugh. Now even though they're from the same root letters, they imply different meanings. It's not that one's more intense than the other. One is more emphatic than the other. These show 2 different meanings. Both linked to laughing, but they're different. Al-Dahak is one who laughs a lot. And al-Duhaka is one who laughs in such a way that it is madhmoom. So Dahak is somebody, for example, who is very happy, joyous. He, enjoys himself and he's a pleasant person. And al-Duhaka has a connotation of lamenting, a criticism. It's a dham. So al-Duhaka is somebody who's always laughing too much, beyond limits, or in an inappropriate way. So Dahak and Duhaka, both are mubalagha, but one has a different implication than the other. So then this is different. What he wants to discuss, or what we're looking at, is where the words have the same meaning, but different levels of emphasis. Another example he gives here, but it's a bit confusing what he's the dhabt, the letters and the harakat in the book and what's in the lughat. But another example he's given, for example, here is nuwama. So nuwama with a fatha on the waw. What does that show? Someone who sleeps too much. Just kathirun nawm. And numa is somebody who's like khamil, who is very sidelined. He's not public, he's not well known. He's khamilu dhikr. That's called a numa. So again, both of mubalagha, but different meanings. One is talking about sleep, one is talking about being sidelined and having a low profile. So based on this, we're not discussing these. He wants to have a look at and analyze the fact where they have the same meaning but a different level of intensity. Okay, and now from here onwards, he's going to be discussing, I think 5 sigha, not 5. He discusses 8. He discusses 8 sigha of mubalagha, and at the end he discusses the role of the ta marbuta in creating emphasis. So altogether we have 9 sigha, and then a fa'idah regarding the ta for mubalagha. How does the ta'u ta'nith create mubalagha? So let's go through each of the sighas individually. The first one he mentions here is fa'al. Now, here they define them slightly differently, but in the end it all boils down to the same. Somebody who does the action repetitively. So it's a sifat mushabbaha. So if you look at it here, a sifa mushabbaha, then you have mubalagha. Mubalagha is more. So fa'al is a mubalagha, but it shows a takrar, a repetition. Yes? So for example, so he says here, أن الشيء إذا كرر فعله بني على فعال. So when something is done often, you express it, or when somebody does the action often, you express this by saying fa'al. So for example, thawab, a person who deals with clothing. Attar, one who deals with perfumes. And bazzaz, a cloth merchant, he deals with buzz and biz. Okay? So now this is all what? He's constantly in dealing with this action. So takarrara fa'luhu. The fa'l, the action is repeated often. So this becomes what? Fa'al. Okay? And then he gives examples here. Many professions, and he gives quite a few of them. One that I'm going to explain is farra, because one Imam of Nahw is known as farra. So farra is the sani'ul fira, and fira is basically fur. So he's farra. He was a furred garment merchant. They used to deal in fur and furred clothing. Yes. So this is all example, and then he looks at the word a few examples in the Quran. So for example, we have here innahu kana ghaffara. So ghaffar is more emphatic than what? Ghafir. Okay. It's also more emphatic than ghafur. So there's 3 levels if you look at it. There's ghafir, ism al-fa'il. Then there's ghafur, 4 letters, so it's a bit more emphatic. And then ghaffar is the most emphatic because Ziyatul loves more words, so ghaffar. So as if Allah keeps on doing maghfirah. So it has a tajaddud element to it. Innal insana la dhalumun kaffar. So again, kaffar has a meaning of more emphasis than kafir, and kafur is kaffar. وَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالنَّفْسِ اللَّوَّامَةِ. النَّفْسُ اللَّوَّامَةِ is a nafs which constantly laments itself after making mistakes and committing evil. So lawwam is more emphatic and more repetitive than la'im. So the fa'al shows a repetition. The noun does that often. The noun does that verb and the action often. Okay? You understand that one? The next one and a few after that, they follow a simple principle. What's the principle and the concept? These words, mif'al, where else do you see mif'al? Where have you come across mif'al recently? That's maf'il. Mif'al and ala. So mif'al and mif'al as well, these are ala. So what he's saying here is that what the Arabs have done, I mean, if you've got a tool meant for a particular job, what's the lazim of that? What's going to happen necessarily? that the action will occur a lot via that tool. If you've got a screwdriver, then it's going to be screwing screws a lot. If you've got a knife, it's meant for cutting anything. So similarly, if you use, his idea, his philosophy is that the Ism al-Ala was the original sigha. But then, what do you use? You change this into an adjective. Yes? To show that this person, as if he's a tool of this action, i.e. he does it often. So for example, you've got the word midhak. So what does midhak mean? A tool for laughter. So meaning, he laughs all the time as if he's a tool for laughing. He's mihdar or mitlaq. If a man often gives talaq, he's called a mitlaq. And from this same concept, you have miqdad. So miqdad min aswad, a sahabi. So miqdad is qadda yaquddu, is to cut something. So miqdad, the tool of cutting. As if he just cuts the enemy lines. Shows a sign of bravery. Miqthar is from kathura yaqthuru, to be abundant. The tool of abundance is normally meant for somebody who speaks a lot. Mitwa, this came in Ramadan in our du'as. Can you remember the du'a? Laka dhakkara, laka shakara, ilayka rahaban. And then the word mitwa'a comes in there. So from ta'a yatu'u, ita'a. A tool of obedience. Extremely obedient. Make us extremely obedient to you. Was there a question? When a comedian, I was saying the same thing. He doesn't mention, he laughs a lot. Does he make other people laugh? That's not necessary. It is he laughs a lot. As if he's just like a tool of laughter. Yes? Okay? And this same principle applies in a few other sighas as well. So, okay? And so we have mif'al and mif'il. So mif'al you have like miqthar, miqdad, mitwa. And in mif'il you have miskeen. So miskeen, if you look as he says here, is a da'im as-sukun ila nas. He always relying to the people, going towards the people. Because he has nothing for himself, so he goes to them a lot. So miskeen is a person who is poor. A miskir, a person who is addicted to alcohol. A mi'tir, a person who deals in itar, or he often applies itar. A mi'tir, who is always fragrant, his body smell. Okay? Then the same principle he applies to mif'al. So the previous one was mif'al, ismul ala. The same thing applies here to mif'al. It's also ismul ala, mif'al. So for example, you got mis'aru harbin, one who initiates war, one who starts a war. Miqwal, one who speaks a lot. You got mirham, mihrab. Okay? A few examples here. You following? The fourth pattern he mentions is fa'ul. And he says that the same thing occurs with fa'ul. Fa'ul was originally a pattern for something like a tool. So for example, wudu. So wudu is a masdar, the fa'il. And fa'ul was wudu, al-ma'u alladhi yutawadda'u bihi. The water you use for wudu, ablution. Waqud, waquduha an-nasu wal-hijara. So waqada is to light, kindle. And waqud, the thing you kindle with, i.e. is fuel. Sahur is our sihri, our pre-fasting meal. Ghasul, what you use for ghusl. Bakhur, what you do bakhr with, which is what? The incense, the perfume. Fatur, breakfast, because why? It was something you use for fitr. So he's saying fa'ul was actually used for this. Now based on this, then what do you know? You go on, the same way you have the mif'al and mif'il concept. The tool that you use for the action is a mubalagha of the action. So shakur, ghafoor, many of these patterns, waqur, to have waqar and dignity. So all of the words, many words come on the fa'ul pattern. But originally, they were ismul ala, tools you use for the action, and then you derive the mubalagha from it, based on the same concept I mentioned previously. Does that make sense? Yes. Fa'ul. Fa'ul is also ismul ala. What do you call it ismul ala? I don't know, but it gives the ala meaning. It is the fa'ul pattern is often used for that thing via which the verb took place, or you used to make the verb. So wudu is a thing you use to carry out the tawaddu. Waqud is the thing you use to do iqad. Sahur is the thing you use to carry out your tasahhur. Ghusl is the thing you use to do ghusl. Okay? Which three? Yes. Yeah, so mif'al, mif'al, and fa'ul. He's saying in all three of these the same concept applies. These were originally nouns used to describe the tool with which the action took place. But based on that, the philosophy I mentioned, you can then make mubalagha from them. Because if something is a tool for the action, it means that it will happen often. Correct? Is that clarified? Even mif'il as well. Go ahead. Again, what's going to happen? What's the concept going to be? Ziyadatul lafz tadullu ala ziyadatul ma'na. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4. This has 1, 2, 3, 4. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is more emphatic. And these two will come second. And mif'al and fa'ul, they're very similar. What's the difference between two of them? I'm not sure. They'll be similar level. Correct? Pardon me? Go ahead. Between siqaya, okay, the siqaya for hirfa, and which sigha is overlap? Yeah. Okay, I get your question. I think so. Fa'al is the actual person doing the action, and the siqaya is the name of the job of the office. So, for example, a saqqa would be somebody who does the action, who does a lot of giving water. And siqaya is the office and the duty of providing water. So siqaya is more of the office position, and the fa'al is the one who carries out the action often. So khayyat, same thing. So khayyat is a mubalagha. Khayyat, he's the one who does the action often. And khiyata is the office, the job, the duty of tailorship. That's the word. Got it? Yes? Okay. The next pattern he discusses is fa'ul. Same principle again. He's saying here, originally, fa'ul shows what? An ala. And thereafter, it has been now used in mubalagha. So for example, a simple example is naqur. So naqur is the trumpet. You have naqus is a bell. So when the hadith of the azan comes, that they suggested a naqus, some sahabi. So it's naqus. Khatuf is a hook. So from there, we get faruq. So faruq is a mubalagha. Originally, fa'ul was a tool. So without take out the Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu, I differ my mind temporarily. What do we have? Faruq is a tool which differentiates between two things. So a person who does differentiation between haqq and batil often, that's his nature, his quality, his ability, he's called faruq. So based on the ismul ala, the tool pattern, which is fa'ul, we get a person who does this often. Similarly, hadur, so as if that person is a tool of being cautious and being aware. Hadir, hadur. So hadur is now more emphatic than hadir. So as if the tool of hadar is now a person who does it a lot. The same principle applies in here. Make sense? Okay. Then he has fa'il, farih, ashir, asif. These are ism mubalagha, pattern of fa'il. And all of these either have the meaning of repetitive action or a longer term than a long-term implication, like صفة المشبهة باسم الفاعل. فعيل, this came in صفة المشبهة, it came in مفعول meaning, and it also comes in مبالغة meaning. Okay, and this is again overlap. So again, this صفة المشبهة and this مبالغة, they're the same. Okay. Fa'il is a person who has that as a quality. So it's like صفة مشبهة باسم الفاعل. So for example, farih is a person who is called exultant. He's not only happy in like a good way, but he's overindulgent in his happiness. Asif, someone who's really, really sad and remorseful. Okay, as though this thing is like his habit. So you can't be, unless you're in depression totally all the time. But asif is a sad, grief will come and go. But to show a mubalagha, it's really grief. You say asif. Yes? Now, regarding this, it's got a very interesting rule here that we need to point out. So he's saying here that when you have fa'il, what you can do, this fa'il, so any mubalagha or any sifat mushabbaha on fa'il pattern, what you can do, you can change it to fu'al. Or when it becomes fu'al, it has more emphasis. So for example, ajib. What can you change ajib into? Ujab. That comes in the Quran. Shay'un ujab. That means even more ajib. It's like more amazing or strange. And then you can go one step further and make it fu'al. So ujab. That would be even more emphatic than ujab. So for example, you have here, what comes in the Quran on a fu'al pattern? Kubbara. So kabir, kubar, and kubbara. And also you have here, kakubbar. And we also came across this morning in the lanes. He had jabbar and jubbar. So jubbar and jabbar, they both have mubalagha to quite a great extent. Yes? Alam yaj'alni jabbaran. So you can also have jubbar as well, based on this. So jabir, I don't think jabir occurs. But any fa'il you have, you can make it fu'al. Then he gets here tuwal, jumal. And you get ujab. So you get ajib, ujab, and ujab. Okay? And he says the same thing occurs here. These were originally alat, tools. So for example, this pattern shows tools. For example, kullab is a hook. It'll come in the hadith when you're crossing the sirat. It'll be kalalib, plural of kullab, hooks. Nushab is arrows, ukaz is a staff or a crutch. So all of these things have ala. So he's saying many of these mubalagha were originally used for alat, and then the same philosophy occurs and you use them for mubalagha as well. Okay? The next one he mentions is siddiq, fi'il. Okay? So for example, siddiq, very truthful. Khimmir, khamr. And sikir, who's obsessive, being involved in the act of intoxication. So you have these patterns here. And the underlying principle is more mabna, the bigger, the more words and less than the sigha, the more emphatic it will be. And then he's mentioned that a lot of them were used as tools, but the philosophy is that anything that is a tool for something will imply automatically that the action is done a lot. So therefore then used for mubalagha as well. Okay? Understood? And then the last aspect we'll go through tomorrow inshallah, where the ta is used for mubalagha. You can add a ta on certain words to give it a meaning of mubalagha. Okay? Yes? Mm-hmm. So is it from saddaqa yasduqu sidqan or from saddaqa? He's mentioned here fi qawnihi sadiqa. He's mentioned here on who is truthful. Affirming the truth is not mentioned, but again he's not going to go technical stuff, you have to tafsir or the tafsiri lughat to see that implication. Is it to do with speaking the truth or affirming the truth? He just mentions say speaking the truth, and I'm not aware whether it's to affirming the truth also is implied. But the story where Hazrat Abu Bakr got his name Siddiq, that seems to imply it has a meaning of affirming the truth as well. But you have to look that up in tafsir, inshallah. Any other questions? Okay. Subhanallah bihamdi subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. So previously we discussed 9 forms of the mubalagha, and we said that these 9 binya, these 9 sigha, these 9 mithal, what they do is that within themselves they have emphasis, and we discussed these previously. Like for example, fa'al, fa'ul, mif'al, mif'il, fi'il, siddiq, faruq, all of those we discussed those. What he's saying here now is that what you can do is you can add a ta al-marbuta to the end of a word, and this in turn creates emphasis. Now, a ta al-marbuta generally depicts gender, feminine gender. But what can happen is that you can add a ta al-marbuta, and this ta al-marbuta creates emphasis. So for example, the first example you have here is rawiya. So if you look, rawa yarwi riwayat to narrate. So rawin is a narrator, and generally speaking, a rawiya would be a female narrator of a hadith, of a story, etc. But what we can do, if context allows and there's no fear of iltibas or lubs or getting confused, mixed up, we can say, for example, you'll find this many times in tarajim. Tarajim means small biographies, small brief biographies of narrators, of scholars, ulama. You will say, for example, rawiyatun lil hadith. He is rawiya. So how can he be rawiya? Is to show what? That this is a tawqid. He narrates many ahadith. Arifa, you can use it for masculine to show what? Mubalagha. And he says, for example, allama. So alim, to know, allam is a mubalagha, and he says allama is tawqid. Nasab is genealogy, and then you have nasaba, that is a genealogist. Hams and humaz is a fu'al, mean to goad, to insult, to provoke somebody. And humaza, a ta' marbuta, creates emphasis. Faruq, so fariqa yafraqu is to be scared, to be worried. And faruq is a fa'ul, like sabur and shakur, mubalagha. When you add ta' marbuta onto that, it creates emphasis. So the ta' can also create emphasis. Okay? So you can have a mubalagha plus a ta' marbuta is what? Tawqidun ala tawqidin. Ya mubalaghatun ala mubalaghatin. Okay? He's got another few examples here. Mi'zaba. So a person who, azbun, to stay away. So azub is a man who's not got married in his life. It's called azub. So azbun. Sheikh Abdul Fattah Abu Huda rahimahullah has got a book, al-ulama ul-uzab, those ulama who do not marry in their life. So he's got a few good books. So another one is Safhatu min sabri al-ulama, pages of the persistence and the steadfastness of the ulama in seeking knowledge. So he's got one, al-ulama ul-uzab. So uzab, who stays away. So here mi'zaba, so mi'zab is a mif'al, which is a mubalagha sayga in itself, and mi'zabatun, the ta' marbuta, creates emphasis. One who uses commons and stays away from everybody. Gets commons is heard in desert times and nomads, and just stays away from everybody, independent. Lahnun is to make an error in your recitation or your reading of the Arabic. So lahan, one who does this very often. And lahana, mukhti'un kathiran fi kalamihi. And if you go back to page 69 in my copy, you have lu'ana and duhaka. So what do we say here? So fu'al, like humaza. So you could have mentioned this example previously as well. So fu'ala is the one who does something, but usually abundantly, but also in a discreditable way. So lu'ana, one who sends lots of la'an. Duhaka, one who laughs too much. Unacceptable way. It's called duhaka, the fu'ala. So you have lu'ana and duhaka. So this ta again is for the fu'al, and a ta marbuta creates a tawqeed. So the wailu likulli humazatil lumaza, so humaza and lumaza, they're both on fu'al, but the ta marbuta then creates additional emphasis. Just like lu'an and duhak. And sometimes it becomes so common that it always occurs with that ta marbuta. You don't get humaz, as far as I'm aware. Okay? You follow? Correct? Now, what Father Samrai rahimullah, what he's saying here, he's saying that what it seems like when this ta comes. So for example, I mentioned before, you can have the word khaliq in two meanings. You can have it in a noun meaning, creator. This is the ism meaning. There's no huduth in this. And this is like a wasf. No, this is like a ismiya. And you can have it here as an adjective. When you have an adjective, it means to create. It has a hadith meaning in it. Okay? Yes? Okay? So what he's saying here, that when we have the ta marbuta, it seems the verbal meaning completely goes out. And it's as though this ta marbuta makes this ismul fa'il, etc., or mubalagha purely into a noun. So for example, fa'alul lima yurid. So fa'al has a verbal meaning here. That's why lima yurid, lam is a lam taqwiya, and ma yurid, lima yurid becomes the maf'ulun bihi of fa'al. He does whatever he wants. So it has a verbal huduthi meaning to it. Yes, a verbal meaning. But when you say, you can say for example, huwa rahalun ila Makkah. He travels often to Makkah. When you say rahala, you will not have it a ma'amul after it. That's what you mentioned on the last page. It now becomes a noun. It no longer has a verbal meaning to it. Ma'na al-fa'il is gone from it. So that's what he's trying to say here. So for example, ma min gha'ibatin. So again, this is nothing, nothing, there's nothing which can hide from Allah in the heavens and the earth. The gha'iba, the ta marbuta does what? It creates emphasis. Same with khafiyah. وَلَا لَا تَخْفَى مِنْكُمْ خَافِيَةٌ. Okay, there's different possibilities about what khafiyah means, but one meaning he's saying here is that it's a tawqeed, ay khafin. And the ta means anything that can hide. So in summary, the ta marbuta creates emphasis, and it removes the verbal element from the ismul fa'il, maf'ul, mubalagha, and it makes it purely a noun. Okay? And from this we get the asma'us sa'a, the names of qiyamah. For example, you have here qari'a, tamma, sakha. So all of these, they are qara'a yaqra'u, that thing which knocks. But when the ta comes on, qari', so now the qari'atun, the ta marbuta removes the wasfiyah and makes it purely into ismiyah, a pure noun now. I.e. that which does what? Knocks. I.e. the qiyamah. So now the verbal aspect has gone. It's pure noun. Okay? And it says the dalil of this, as much mentioned on the next page, is that we have here, it doesn't become amil. Because it's a noun. And what does amal? Fa'il or ma'na al-fa'il? And ma'na al-fa'il is ism al-fa'il, ism al-maf'ul, mubalagha, etc. So when we have this ta marbuta, the ma'na al-fa'il is eliminated and it's purely ism. And he gives dalil of this as well. For example, that's why we get certain nouns on this pattern. For example, al-tarrada is a cruise ship. Qaddafa is some kind of tool or weaponry used to launch bombs. Dabbaba, the tank. So when you have a ta marbuta, this is purely ism now. Like how these are purely isms. So when you have a rawiyah or allama, this is no longer ma'na al-fa'il inside of it. It's no longer an ism al-fa'il with the meaning of a huduth. It has simply what? A noun meaning. So by this, he has now completed the mubalagha discussion. So in summary, he says here the mubalagha, you have different sigha, and each sigha has its own specific meaning. Some create more emphasis than the other. This has not been mentioned explicitly by the mutaqaddimun, but the principle is ziyadatul lafzi تدل على زيادة المعنى. More words shows more meaning. And he gave a few patterns. He said فعال, مفعال, مفعيل, مفعل, فعول, فاعول, فعل, فعيل, and فعيل. And then he said at the end, if you add ta al-marbuta, it takes the ismiya meaning out, the wasfiya meaning out, and it becomes purely an ism, and that also creates additional emphasis. Any questions regarding this? Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, the question is, we say alim, scholar, we say allam is more knowledgeable, and allama is one who is the most very knowledgeable. So the question is, how can we use the word allama for human beings? We say allama, we call people allama, very knowledgeable person. Yet for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most is used is allam. We never say allama, you can't say allamatul ghuyub. One reason for this is the tahashin and the ta'nith. So in Arabic, a word without a ta marbuta is either masculine or neutral gender. Usually. That's what it refers to, masculine or neutral gender. Okay? Now when you add a ta marbuta onto something, it kind of shows, well, a femininity to it. It kind of implies gender. It can imply gender. So to avoid attributing something of gender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you don't say allama. Correct? That's why you don't have allama with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in terms of human beings, we go to the third level of emphasis, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the second level. Again, I guess that's the same reason, because the ta marbuta will create a gender. It give iham or waham of a gender. And to avoid that, the third level is not used. And the mubalagha, simply mubalagha is used. But it still leaves that question that, then should we use allama for a human being? I guess it's to do with isti'mal, more supposed to qiyas. So the Arabs have used allama for human beings. So that's why it is used. But yes, looking the philosophy of the whole concept, it can have a question. But again, it's more based on isti'mal rather than qiyas. So in terms of logic, we say, well, the ta marbuta has the element of ta'nif. To avoid that, we don't use it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in theory, you say, well, why is it two levels used? Allam level is used for Allah, and you don't use the third level. So why use the third level for human beings? It's an isti'mal. So we say here, well, the Arabs have used it and they've understood that it's not from the same level, but it still can have an element of question. But again, it's based on isti'mal rather than qiyas. But then when it has the wasfiya meaning, we say ismiya meaning, say alim. He's alim. And in the wasf, allam has a maf'ul bihi, allamul ghuyub. So allamul ghuyub, he's the maf'ul bihi of allam is the ghuyub. What does he know? The ghuyub. And there's also a possibility that the restriction, the allama is a noun. And the allam there is referring to, has a maf'ul bihi mentioned with it. And the wasfiya meaning comes with alim. Whereas when they say his nose, for the stop, Sami'un alim. When you say he knows something, the maf'ul have alam of what? Al-ghuyub. So there are a few other aspects to look at. I can't give you a jawabun shafin, because it's this, I don't know. But there's a few points I can mention. Anything else? A good question though. Anything else? Okay. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك